Good mythical morning, afternoon, evening, wherever the heck in the world you are. It's the notorious, glorious, really Gorilla Economist, and I'm coming to you live on RogueNews.com. Follow us on Twitter at Real Rogue News and Rogue News and every single podcasting app known to humanity. We are there with a bag of chips, baby. We're everywhere you want us to be, plus a bag of chips. Guys, real quick, what I'm going to do is do a quick little rundown because I am pressed for time. It's been a very crazy day. I should have done this broadcast in the morning. But it is what it is, and we roll with the punches here. We roll with the punches, so I'm not going to, worry about it too much. I'm not going to worry about it. It is what it is. I ask all of you, okay, all of you, to head over to Watch Us Trade. If you haven't done so already, hit the webinar. We're doing an amazing webinar this Friday at 1 p.m. That is tomorrow, 1 p.m. Eastern, and it's about Forex. It's about crypto trading. It's about catching the crypto bull market rocket. Check it out, watchustrade.io, watchustrade.io. It's about less than $10 a day, like $9 a day changes your life. $9 a day changes your life. Join us, make it happen for yourself. All right, folks, let's get into it. Lots of things going down, a quick little breakdown of what's going down. Let us start off with the U.S. as an oil weapon. Okay, let's talk about that. Let's talk about the U.S. as an oil weapon. Folks, we all know the petrodollar is dying, and we all know that. Again, this report, you can file it into what is the U.S. power structure trying to do? What are they trying to do? What are they trying to accomplish? Well, what they're trying to do and what they're trying to accomplish is this. Okay, they're trying to have, and they know they're doomed. Okay, there's no gold. There's not any more gold left in the U.S. And they know that they're doomed. They can't simply say, hey, you know what, we have the biggest gold reserves in the world, yada, 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 so on and so forth. It's just not there. So in a dynamic that shows just how far the U.S. oil production has come in recent years, the U.S. Energy Information Administration said on Monday that in the last 2 months of 2018, the U.S. Gulf Coast exported more crude oil than it imported. Monthly net trade of crude oil in the Gulf Coast region fell from a high of nearly $6.6 billion of net imports to what was it? Basically, oil production is through the roof. U.S. oil production hit a staggering 12.1 million barrels a day in February. While that amount has been projected to stay around that production mark into the midterm, then increase in the coming years. The U.S. is the new global oil producer in the world, followed by Russia and Saudi Arabia. While Saudi Arabia is still the world's largest exporter, a factor that still gives Riyadh considerable leverage, particularly as it works with Russia and other partners of the so-called OPEC Plus group of producers. However, as Saudi Arabia, decades-long role. What is wrong with me? I am having a hard time reading today. This is what happens when you start a show in the middle of the afternoon. You're not fresh in the morning, man. I kid you not. All right, basically what it's saying, folks, listen, here's the deal. U.S. is a big oil producer. They're going to try to use oil to leverage it onto LNG. The U.S. is trying to throw its oil weight around. It's got all that shale oil. It's got all that Gulf Coast oil. And you might say, hey, you know what? You're making 12.1 million barrels per day. You are the biggest producer. And yeah, theoretically you are. You are, but you still don't have the total refining capacity to really bring your oil to market at a level that it affects oil price. If you notice, if you're the biggest producer of oil per day, right? Let's do the math. If you're doing 12.1 million barrels per day, and I highly question that. I highly question it. But if you are, and let's just say that you are, let's just for all intents and purposes assume that you are. Let's just say you are the biggest, baddest boy on the block. How come your amount of oil is really not affecting the oil market? If there's a hiccup in Saudi Arabia, there's a hiccup in Russia, all of a sudden you see oil prices shoot through the moon. Why is that? Why is this talk that even just 2 weeks ago, oil prices are creeping back up? Maybe they need to open up the strategic reserves. What is this talk about strategic reserves? You see, I'm hearing all these fictitious numbers. First of all, you have to understand, the entire American energy industry is built on a cream puff. If you can imagine a cream puff donut that is filled with air and delicious sweet cream, that is the entire U.S. oil industry is built on top of it. It is built on a house of cards of municipal loans, over-leveraged debt, all sorts of financial instruments, none of which is sustainable. And then the end product, folks, is what? What is the end product? The end product is shale oil. And what do we know about shale oil? Well, shale oil has a lower thermal unit, a British thermal unit index, than the oil that they're pumping out of Saudi Arabia, than the oil they're pumping out of Russia. It is less energy dense. So if you're making 12.1, again, this is, I think, 12.1 million barrels a day of American crude is about as believable as a 25 or 26,000 point Dow. 21 million barrels a day of American crude is about as believable as a 25,000 point Dow. Because if Saudi Arabia is making 7 or 11 million barrels per day, which I think the last kind of was making around 11 million barrels per day, they have a hiccup. It is a moonshot. So even if you're making 12.1 million barrels a day, even if you are, let's just say I give you that, you still don't have the refinery capacity. Why? Because there's no new refineries that have been built since the 1970s. Hasn't existed. So it is with this type of glut that they're trying to force down the throats in the Asian markets, in the European markets and whatnot, that, hey, you know what? We have oil. We're sitting on oil. Buy our oil. It's better than everybody else's, yada, 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 so on and so forth. But we have no way of delivering it. So all this talk about the U.S. oil weapon. And all the Americans out there, I mean, there's an article on oilprice.com. This is the first time in the recent history that American officials have considered using oil production for a geopolitical advantage as a weapon. One of the last times the country had such oil production dates back to the years before World War II, when the U.S. held back oil exports to Japan. Consequently, this was the mitigating factors that provoked Japan to attack Pearl Harbor in 1941. Moreover, Pompeo's comments can be viewed as a reversal from the so-called oil weapon that the Arab producers have used on the U.S. and its Western allies for decades, including both the unsuccessful 67 Arab oil embargo and the 73 Arab oil embargo that brought the U.S. and its allies to their knees, driving up the price of oil fourfold and contributing to severe economic headwinds for the West and a geopolitical economic shift that still persists to the current. How does this work out, right? Let's just analyze this. You know, because I've seen this from multiple analysts that are in the petroleum industry. Multiple analysts are saying, "Oh, the U.S. is using this as an oil weapon." What is this oil weapon that they're talking about? Is it the oil weapon that says, "Hey, get off of Russian LNG," that goes to the European Union and says, "Hey, get off of Russian LNG and buy our what?" Instead of buying reliable Russian LNG, buy unreliable and twice more expensive American LNG. That's not much of a deal now, is it, folks? That's not much of a deal now, is it? You gotta love it. It's fantastic. It's the most ridiculous thing in the world. Evidence of growing American energy clout was evident last week when Secretary of State Mike the Pompous Pompeo urged the oil industry to work with Trump administration and promote the U.S. foreign policy interests, especially in Asia and Europe, and to punish what he called so-called bad actors on the world stage. Pompous Pompeo made his remark at the IHS Markit Sarawak conference in Houston, where U.S. oil and gas execs, energy players, and OPEC officials usually gather annually to discuss global energy development. Pompeo added that America's newfound shale oil and natural gas abundance would strengthen our hand in foreign policy. He's smoking that pipe. Pompous Pompeo is hitting that crack pipe hard. Shale oil is very expensive to extract. Folks, when the Saudis crushed oil prices to drive out American shale, which the American shale oil manufacturers literally crapped their pants if they weren't so damn subsidized. Literally crap their pants. And people stood there amazed when oil dipped to $40 a barrel. And I called it literally 6 months before it happened that oil is going to be below $40. It's going to be $39 a barrel. And we hit that mark. I called it back in July of 2015, and we hit it right in December 2015 or 16. 2015, we hit it. Right on the money, right on the button. Okay? Pompous Pompeo thinks that this is some sort of serious clout. Folks, I mean, can you imagine if somebody were working in an industry like, let's say, automotive manufacturing, and you're trying to compete with BMW, Mercedes, and Audi, and you're saying, hey, you know what? I got this new American luxury car. Let's just say it's Cadillac. And they say, hey, you know what? We got something that's going to really compete with the Germans and beat them at their own game, but it's crappy. It doesn't handle, doesn't break. It's like Cadillac in the 80s. I wouldn't call Cadillac today. They're doing a pretty damn good job with their V series, their CTSVs, their new engine development. They're pretty damn good. But back in the 80s, if Cadillac were to say, we're trying to take on BMW and Mercedes, you'd laugh your ass off because you know you're buying an inferior product. You'd laugh your ass off. It wouldn't handle as good. It wouldn't break as good. The workmanship wouldn't be there. The build quality's not there. I mean, it wouldn't be as reliable. It was just a breaking down piece of crap. You'd laugh at them. It's the same thing with the LNG. It's the same thing with the shale oil. Here, we got the same oil. No, your oil is more, it costs more to produce, and it has less thermal units. In other words, your oil is less energy dense. It's a more expensive product and a far less quality. How do you win in a marketplace like that? Who would buy it? Who would buy it? But and here they are, Mike Pompeo hitting that crack pipe hard, hitting that imperial neocon, warhawk, retarded, schizophrenic foreign policy crack pipe extremely hard. Pompeo's high. He's high off his rocker. He's literally high as a kite on this idea that we're going to hold the world hostage because now we're the largest oil producers in the world. What a joke. That is like the equivalent of me finding fool's gold. A huge amount of fool's gold and saying, hey, look, I am a major competitor in the gold industry. I found fool's gold. Which is, the next thing they're going to say. That's why the U.S. never can say, hey, you know what? We have gold. And we say, we have deep storage gold. China, how much gold do you have? We have deep storage gold. It's so deep we don't even know about it, but it's there. Trust us. Here, take our oil. It's twice as expensive to produce, and it's half as good as yours. But buy it from us at 3 times the price of what you're already paying. It's good business. Just do what we say and nobody gets hurt. Remember the Saturday night skit after the Exxon Valdez incident? You all remember the Exxon Valdez back in the 80s? Massive oil spill. I think it was the first major, big, catastrophic oil spill off the coast of Alaska. Yeah, I think Dawn dishwashing detergent got its start back then, washing all the animals. And then Saturday Night Live made a spoof on it. Instead of Exxon, they called it Texon. And their tagline is, Texon, do what we say and nobody gets hurt. Yeah, that's exactly what America is. Do what we say and nobody gets hurt. Here, buy our oil or else. It's twice as expensive and it's half as good, but buy it anyway. Do what we say and nobody gets hurt. And what Pompous Pompeo doesn't realize is that the rest of the world is not as stupid as he is. What Pompous Pompeo doesn't realize is that the rest of the world is not as stupid as he is. The rest of the world understands very clearly what the hell's going on. The rest of the world understands, hey, you know what? Your oil is twice as expensive and it's only half as good. Why would I buy it? And you don't have the military clout. You don't have the teeth that you used to have. So why would I take you seriously? What? You're going to bully me? Hello, Russia. Hello, China. I'm being bullied by the Americans. It's as simple as that, folks. It's as simple as that. Unreal. On top of that, folks, we got some more exciting news. We have a full-on border collapse. Everybody's calling for a wall. How about this? I'm going to read some quick headlines off to you guys. Border Patrol says detention centers are full and starts releasing migrants. How do you like them apples? The Border Patrol released 250 migrants here on Tuesday and Wednesday and expects to free hundreds more in the coming days because there's no room to hold them. Why? Because there's caravan after caravan after caravan that are making themselves to the border. Immigrant advocates suggested the releases were intended to sow confusion at the border and further President Donald Trump's argument that there is a national emergency there. They're doing this deliberately so they can release a ton of people at once and create chaos. Texas Civil Rights Project. The government is trying to do this. He pointed out the Border Patrol official who spoke on conditions that he will not be identified denied that the release was a political stunt and said crowded facilities threaten the agents and migrants. It's a crisis. It's not a self-proclaimed crisis. No, it is a crisis. How do I know? How do I know it's a crisis? Well, watch this one, man. Watch this one. This is right on the border. This is from Breitbart. 400 migrants apprehended within 5 minutes. Within 5 minutes, 400 people. Okay? El Paso sector in the Border Patrol agents apprehended 2 large groups of Central American migrants after they illegally crossed the border from Mexico. Agents apprehended the 2 groups totaling more than 400 people during a 5-minute period. 5 minutes. 5 minutes. In 5 minutes, 400 people. It's staggering. Agents patrolling Bowie High School, near Bowie High School, came upon a group of 194 migrants at about 2:45 a.m. Tuesday. Approximately 5 minutes later, other agents patrolling the border further west came upon a second group of 252 migrants. The second group crossed the border near downtown El Paso, according to the U.S. Customs and Border Protection officials. Officials said that during the first 3 hours of Tuesday morning, the agents apprehended more than 430 people. Officials called it just another busy day for the El Paso sector of Border Patrol. In the last 30 days, the U.S. Border Patrol El Paso sector is averaging 570 apprehensions. In the last 30 days, 570 apprehensions a day. A day. 570 apprehensions a day, with 90% of those being from El Paso metropolitan area. These numbers will continue to stretch the resources available to the U.S. Border Patrol to deal with this influx and challenges that come with it during the first 5 months of the fiscal year 2019. So far this year, agents in the 9 Southwest Border Patrol sectors apprehended more than 268,000 migrants, including 136,000 family units, 26,937 unaccompanied minors. All the sectors, except for the Big Bend and Laredo sectors, report increases of more than 200%. 200% in family unit apprehensions. Unbelievable. 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 How do you like the map? Look, it gets worse. It gets worse. It gets worse. How about this one, folks? How about this one? You know something's going on with more focus on the southern border. U.S. officials see a rise in migrants in the sea. That's right, San Diego. Trump administration's focus on the southern border has closed some gaps in the immigrant enforcement, but expanded a challenging problem. Law enforcement officials said undocumented immigrants seeking into California by sea. They're coming in by air, by sea, by land. They are coming. Full-on invasion, folks. Full-on invasion. Full-on invasion. Across Southern California, 1,022 migrants were intercepted at sea, ending in September 30th. Okay, that was up from 213 and 27 and 142 the year before. So it went from 142 people. Now we're up at 1,022 apprehended by sea so far. So far. And the numbers keep rising. It's staggering. Those numbers are small compared to the 529,000 apprehensions that the Customs and Border Patrol reported at the southern border in 2018. But the practice at sea is lucrative for those who facilitate. Smugglers charge about $10,000 per person to get into the United States, even more for Chinese migrants who fly to Tijuana first. It's all about money. They're never going to stop coming. This is what's going on here, folks. This is what's going on. Absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Border wall where? Still waiting for that wall. I'm hoping he'll get it up. I'm hoping he'll erect a wall. It'll be a very good thing if we get that up and running. A very good thing. Now to put the steel-toed boot right into the gonads of the globalist, right into the nutsack of NATO. Taking a steel-toed fashioned Italian boot directly into the nutsack of NATO. Italy is ready to sign the trade deal with China. Trump and Merkel blindsided. Team NATO takes another hit in the groin. Next week, visit Italy by Chinese Premier Xi Jinping has nearly everyone jittery. The recent announcement by five-star movement leader Luigi Di Maio that his country, Luigi, is prepared to sign a memorandum of understanding with China to be part of China's ambitious Belt and Road Initiative has set off a firestorm of response from Donald Trump to Angela Merkel to Di Maio's own coalition partner, Liga leader Matteo Salvini. But don't let the rapper fool you on this. Di Maio's announcement, I don't think it blindsided Salvini as the Reuters article suggests, as much as it did Merkel and Trump. Even though Geraci is a member of the league, the group appeared blindsided when the news of the imminent deal emerged last week. We're reviewing it, says Salvini. Now, if anything of this announcement is a smart move by Di Maio, it puts Salvini on a bit of a defensive who has been setting the tempo for the coalition recently. Salvini needs Trump on his good side to assist him in taking on Merkel and the European Union. Merkel's trying to play hardball with Trump over energy issues, as I discussed in a recent article, by defending Nord Stream 2 from U.S. aggression. All of this is happening right now in the world. What I tell you, folks, Italy and China linking up, that is a long trade relationship. A long running relationship since the Marco Polo days in the original Silk Road, right? People don't realize China and Italy are so linked. From Linguini to lo Mein, baby. From Linguini to lo Mein. China and Italy are linked. They're linked, and the deal's going to get inked. And you're going to see the Belt and Road Initiative, which is so horrible. The Belt and Road Initiative is so horrible that 154 countries have signed up to it. 154 countries have signed up to it because they see it as a horrible thing. They see it as losing sovereignty. They see it as being taken advantage of. It's so horrendous that they signed onto it with no issues whatsoever because they're stupid and we're smart. You got to love these folks. You got to love this. And what are we offering? Nothing. We got bootleg oil that's twice as expensive and only half as good. No one's buying the trash and recyclables anymore. We're still the biggest exporter of pornography. We have nitwit millennials. What else we got? We got airplanes that can't fly. We got fighter jets that break down. Man, the list goes on and on. We are really exceptional, I guess. Very exceptional indeed. Folks, we really need to get our stuff together as a country. I mean, my God, we got some bitter medicine to take. Some bitter medicine indeed. God help us all. And with that, folks, that is the major headlines of the day. Also, the Fed is not going to raise the rates. That's a good thing. Dow 29,000. Here we come. Dow 29,000. Here we come. Get ready, baby. The market is about to take off even higher. And that's it. That's all I got to say, folks. It's been a quick day. Thank you all for tuning in. If you haven't got a chance to do it, go ahead, hit the subscribe button, like, comment, share. Sure you love your support. And with that being said, I'm over and out.